teenage boys would, tell their
Gotta
mom.
deal with that crap.
Yeah, no
People
kidding.
shooting at the damn house.
It's frightening.
Yeah, I mean...
It's like a terrorist.
Well, I tell you, that's very psychologically traumatic to the people receiving things like stalking.
Yes.
It's very, if you think like just, even if someone like comes straight at you and, has a confrontation, you're like, oh, that sucked, or I hope that don't happen. But just knowing that someone's out.
When it's persistent. When it's unexpected, or it's
creeping around in the damn dark.
Attack.
Like, yeah, you hear
it's
something.
Like you can never feel safe in your home, which
Yes.
is the one place you should feel is your sanctuary,
right,
where you have safety.
Yeah, and it's like being terrorized, literally terrorized 24/7, because you never know when this freaking wacko's going to come up out of the bushes or some shit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Gunnarsson left the Whedon's house and was never heard from again. On December the 15th of 1993, so about 2 weeks after he had been missing, his landlord reported him as a missing person.
Right, probably noticed he hadn't been around, or maybe it was rent time,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's mid-month, hasn't seen him for 2 weeks. Maybe he's very good about paying his rent.
Or maybe he just knows that he always sees them.
Something's
They may be
amiss.
friendly.
Exactly. 4 days after her date with Gunnarsson, Kay Whedon's 78-year-old mother, Catherine Miller, was at home making dinner. She was shot execution style with a .38 caliber.
Oh my God!
Investigators determined that the elderly woman was shot by someone she knew, as there was no forced entry into the home. It appeared as though she had let this person in. She was in the kitchen. She was making dinner. She was shot near the stove where she was preparing her dinner. Days before her murder, Whedon and her mother, Catherine Miller, had been in a restaurant when Underwood had a confrontation with the two. Now, during this argument, he told Whedon that her mother was to blame for their breakup.
Oh my God.
Apparently, this mother was not approving of their relationship, had kind of been a big advocate to her daughter, like, you need to break up with this guy.
This crazy ass dude,
He's
yeah.
not right for you. And then once he's doing all the stalking, she's like, you don't even need to be friends with this guy. The advice most mothers would give.
Oh, I'm going to tell you, if he'll do all this stalking shit to every single one of these women to this degree, he had some wackadoodle shit in his everyday life. You know what I mean? There was probably control issues, I'm going to guess.
Oh, we're going to get into that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Put our little psychology hat on.
Well, he told her that he wished some harm would come to Whedon's mother so she would understand how he felt. Like, my heart is broken. I feel so upset. I hope something bad happens to your mom so you can feel as bad as I feel.
What a dick.
Yeah. Well, Whedon also had received a letter from Underwood at some point warning her not to force me to do anything.
Oh, okay.
Because I can't control myself. It's you forcing me. Don't you love those people who can't accept responsibility for their own emotions and actions?
Yeah, those people, it's funny how everybody else makes them do that stuff.
Yeah, it's your fault. It's your fault that I'm a crazy person, right?
Yeah.
Well, Underwood's home, now this is where it comes into play that he is a control freak.
Okay.
He seems to suffer from some sort of like OCD. It's very obsessive, controlling behavior.
Fun guy.
His home was described as immaculate, just obsessed with cleanliness. Investigators searched his property and found a house that looked like a museum. Like, everything had a place. It almost was too perfect.
Like nobody even lives there.
Right. Like, there are the things that belong to a person who would live there. But it was so neat, so clean, so tidy, that it almost looked like a model, like a
display,
like a model home or something.
Okay.
Just too perfect.
That's always not weird.
Now, when they do a sweep of the house, they find no firearms, but they find some black electrical tape in the laundry room, which looked like the tape they found near Gunnarsson's body.
No, they found the roll?
No, they find some that's
been
basically
used?
Attached to the back of the...
Like the hoses?
Hose on the dryer.
Oh, man.
These are some good detectives.
Now, that's what I'm talking about right there.
Yeah.
We always want to be like, oh, small town, they didn't know that right there.
Now, these are some top-notch detectives.
That is badass.
So they find this tape and they're like, wait a minute, let's just go ahead and take this in as evidence.
Just in
because
case.
it matches this black electrical tape.
Maybe it does, maybe it don't. We're going to recover it. That's the thought process.
They end up taking, I think, about 50 items from the house. Like I said, no guns, but they found like gun cleaning kits.
Yeah.
Some other things. So they seize all these, items during the search, take those. So forensic testing would prove that the tape samples were the same brand and possibly even the same roll of tape.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
It was down to like, this is about, as close as it could be to the same batch of tape that it's probably the same roll.
Even if they can't prove, 1,000%, if they can say it's just so likely, like a 1 in 600,000 chance that this is, that really carries a lot of weight with jurors,
Sometime after the Gunnarsson murder, so it was just sometime after this early December murder, that Underwood took his 1979 Monte Carlo, big pimpin'.
I had a 1978.
Well, there you go, baby.
Deluxe body, baby.
Was it hot?
It was god awful. It was charcoal gray. And had a bright red interior.
Oh.
Yeah.
It sounds like you was big pimpin'.
I was big pimpin'.
He takes this 1979 Monte Carlo to a car wash and had it thoroughly cleaned, detailed, was very adamant that everything needed to be spotless.
Right. Almost like he had a body in the car.
Having the trunk carpet cleaned.
Ah.
He instructed the attendant to make sure that they shampooed this trunk carpet. It has to be perfect.
Okay.
Investigators would later say that the trunk had some scratches inside, and they found a shoe print kind of up on the roof of the trunk lid.
Yeah.
As though it had been kicked. A forensic investigator was able to find some single hair strands. Now, this is what's so interesting, is the forensic guy taking some tape and was trying to, see if he could find anything. And the car was so immaculately clean, he was finding nothing.
He wasn't even getting lint.
No.
Yeah.
But he just so happened to find this one little place, kind of almost like under the carpet, where he found these 16 strands of hair.
Wow.
Yes. Now, none had the root, but mitochondria DNA could be tested.
Okay.
So it was just enough.
And that was probably a rather recent advancement on DNA around, what is it, the early 90s?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know that story. I could be lying.
The results would come back as a perfect match.
Boom.
To Gunnarsson.
There you go.
A typewriter was also discovered during the investigation. The typewriter ribbon was determined to be used to send those harassing, threatening letters to Kay Whedon.
And that's why you don't do it on typewriter.
They were able to pull the tape and match up.
And look at the letters that had been kicked off. Oh, man.
So they had
never thought about that.
An investigator who kind of specialized in this, pull that ribbon, was able to match up the letters. And it was like some sort of triple strand ribbon type of thing.
Oh, yeah?
That was used, and they were able to match up
the
letters with the, that was actually typed out.
And he thought he was being slick by not writing it out by hand, because I'm sure he was well aware of handwriting analysis. That's fairly old forensics.
Now, it took nearly 2 years for an arrest to be made. Underwood was finally arrested on October 12th, 1995, with proof of the threatening letters and the DNA evidence, the forensic evidence. Prosecutors were able to build a pretty decent case against him. And they had developed this theory that the motive was pure and simple jealousy.
Yeah, so they can't, that's what's awesome about forensics, is they can't prove, they don't have, it doesn't sound like they have the gun. He's smart enough to get rid of the gun.
They don't really have any eyewitness.
They don't have a lot besides this forensic
testimony,
evidence.
People saying, hey, I saw him here at this time.
But if you prove beyond, through DNA, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that someone's in a fucking trunk, I mean, you know what I mean? That's not a normal thing. It's not like the hairs were in the car and he could say some bullshit story about he gave the guy a ride or they had a discussion about what was going on or something. It's in the fucking trunk.
Underwood thought if he created turmoil in Kay Whedon's life that she would have to turn to him for comfort.
And he killed her fucking mom?
Yes. So if he kills her new boyfriend, he kills her mother, she's going to have no one. She's going to turn to him.
The guy who's been stalking the living shit out of her, making her life a living hell. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, that's normal.
Well, all of this information, coupled with the fact that he had spent this great deal of time stalking her and had this history of stalking women, vandalizing their property, maybe some violence in there.
Yeah, I mean, well, from his point of view, let's be fair, stalking's not easy. You know what I mean? It's a 24/7 job. So he's put all this time in this stalking relationship.
It's true.
He's done all this damn stuff out in the dark, because you know you do a lot of stalking in the dark. He's probably like not met other women just so he could stalk her.
He'd even gone as far as like having his friends participate. And this is what I don't get. So at some point she had been getting these threatening phone calls, and she was saying to investigators it wasn't Underwood's voice. It was the voice of another man. He'd been getting his male friends to call her.
And talk crazy to her?
Yeah.
No. I'm not going to. Man, if I'm hanging with dudes like, oh, let's have a couple beers, blah, 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 we're just shooting the shit. Hey, you mind calling my ex and, like, scaring her and shit? I'd be like, fuck no, man. What are you talking about? That's crazy. I don't care if we've been friends for 50 years.
Yeah, I know. Who does that?
Some other misogynistic asshole friend, you know, they must, yeah, no kidding. Seriously.
Right.
Birds of a feather. There we go.
Well, he was indicted on first-degree kidnapping and the murder of Gunnarsson. He was never charged with the murder of Catherine Miller. And though they suspect, you know, that he definitely was involved in this, he was never charged with her murder.
I don't understand. I know we've talked about time and again. You know, they just want the person in jail. I get it. There's cost and all that. But I think families deserve
justice.
I think and that's the only way to have official justice is to go through the system.
Well, I'm assuming that with Miller, it was mostly circumstantial evidence. They knew, and we'll get into that here in just a minute, but they knew he had made threats. He knew her, so it's likely he was able to gain entry into her house.
I guess there really is no case.
There was no weapon.
We have to look at it from the prosecution. They have to have something to put a case together.
Right, and it seems like they really didn't.
You can't just say, I think the guy did it, or it's obvious he did it. You have to have evidence, straightforward evidence of some type.
This is what seems to have happened. On the night of the murder, Underwood, stalking Whedon, saw the car, calls in the tag. When he sees Gunnarsson leaving the house, he follows him to Gunnarsson's apartment, kidnaps him at gunpoint. He drove him 86 miles away to that Deep Gap area in Watauga County, away from Salisbury.
In the fucking trunk.
In the trunk, forced him to strip naked, and then shot him execution style.
All right.
Underwood thought he'd gotten all of the evidence. He'd taken the clothes, shoes, basically everything.
That might be clinging fibers or
just
something like that.
Just left this naked body there.
Okay.
However, he didn't get that piece of tape.
That damn piece of discarded tape.
That electrical tape that he'd used to gag.
So think about that. If he had that type of matching up something like tape or a trash bag, and I'd say that was fairly new, because that's not been around super long time, I don't think. Very forward thinking for the early 90s.
Yes.
When forensics really started getting creative.
Right.
And, but just think, if he gets that one little piece of tape, like if he just crams it in his pocket instead of discarding it, and the attendant doesn't get pissed off with his overbearing ass and does actually go just swoop by that one spot with their vacuum when they're cleaning the hell out of his car, they would have had no case.
Exactly. It's amazing that these little pieces of evidence add up and make the case. A few days later, after he kills Gunnarsson, he kills Catherine Miller. Several witnesses said that Underwood had a .38 caliber, like a snub-nose revolver.
Yeah, like, isn't that a Saturday Night Special?
That he actually had that in his possession.
Police gun.
But he had lent this gun to a friend. And he'd actually lent the gun to a friend in hopes that that friend might stalk Kay Wheaton down and, like, threaten her with it.
What?
Yeah. On the night of the murder, he goes to his friend and he asks for the gun back.
Yeah, I need that gun, bro. I gotta do a little light stalking.
Yeah. So he gets his gun, his .38, and